This is a little strange, and I think would be disturbing to any rational, consciously uh, logical person when it keeps happening over and over and over for no apparent reason. I lie on my bed after usually having done some cleaning, organizing, and other work on my feet, and I face my headboard with my phone just a few inches from my face because I'm legally blind and do not see anything unless it's a few inches from my face. I mean, I can see something. I don't know what I'm seeing. I see shapes. So I hold the phone close to my face and have a pillow in front of me and often other coverings around this area right here that should prevent any of the masturbating, perving, creeping, hate stalking, BLM psycho rejects in this building who claim that they can see and hear what I do in here from being able to hear or see what I happen to watch on my phone. I don't watch anything weird. I'm not a big porn fan. I can't remember the last time I looked at anything pornographic. Must have been at least 20 years ago. I just don't find interest in those things. It's more like a biology lesson for me than anything else. And I studied biology for 4 years and then worked as a research scientist for 18 years. So I'm not interested in biological things. But I do love watching all kinds of really cool documentaries on biblical history, biblical battles, philosophy, religion, religious history, etc. I have always been a fairly spiritually aware person and quite religious during my younger years, continued to have religious beliefs and strong tendencies. And so it shouldn't be a point of trigger for anyone who tries to hear what I do or watch in this living space to become violent over whatever random videos and documentaries I happen to be watching. But 5 minutes ago, while I was watching a documentary on Archangel Michael, the violent psycho thug directly below in 76 started violently and repeatedly slamming something heavy beneath my bed. There has been absolutely no slamming or banging throughout the day today from below, and there hasn't been any since I stopped watching the Archangel Michael video. I have a close working relationship with Archangel Michael. You might say that he is my boss. I have always had a close working relationship with Archangel Michael from the time that I was very little. I was all about archangels, not just regular angels, you know, like the little chubby baby cherubs that you see in paintings and on statues and in museums and things like that, and in Renaissance art. I've always been more interested in the grown-up warrior angels, such as Archangel Michael, such as Archangel Raphael, but mostly Michael. I find him fascinating, magnificent, incredible, inspiring, and very close to my heart in many ways. The psycho directly below in 76 has an extensive history of becoming violent, repeatedly and deliberately, and on a moment-by-moment activity-specific basis, based on what I might happen to do when I'm lying on this bed. And I've made dozens of videos about this psycho directly below in 76 suddenly becoming violent against the floor and the walls below my bed when I just happen to be doing random normal things while lying on my bed. I do not ever do anything weird on this bed. I know that people can see what I do in this unit. People have been telling me this for like 8 years now. And so I don't ever walk around naked or even in my underwear unless it's necessary. And I don't watch anything weird on my phone. Not that I would ever want to anyway. I'm pretty normal in that respect. I don't have any strange hang-ups or fetishes or obsessions or anything like that. I just like intellectually interesting topics such as biblical history, artistic history, for instance, the Renaissance painters, sculptors, Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, etc. But the only thing that I happen to watch out of all those topics that triggers the psycho directly below in 76 to becoming repeatedly psychotically violent below my bed is Archangel Michael or possibly Jesus Christ. That piece of shit directly below, who is obviously a malignant, obsessive sex offender and hate stalker with no life, because this kind of violence happens at 3 a.m. when I'm lying on my bed trying to sleep, scratching my armpits or something if I turn over in bed and pull my wedgie, that piece of shit starts becoming violent all of a sudden. If I wake up at like 4 a.m. and try to use my toilet, the piece of shit becomes violent all of a sudden, and with no violence before or after the moment where I happen to pull my wedgie, scratch my armpit, or use the toilet. Do you see what I'm saying? This is an obsessive, severely disturbed, malignant sex offender. Not quite sure what their physical identity might be, but I can certainly take a few guesses. Probably will be correct in those guesses. This piece of shit has an issue with Archangel Michael and Jesus Christ. Very strange because, again, the violent slamming and banging that has occurred directly below over the last 10 minutes and stopped 5 minutes ago stopped as soon as I stopped the documentary about Archangel Michael. I was born to serve certain divine entities. Let's put it that way. I know why I am here on this planet. That's why I have absolutely no problem with anything that happens, because I know it's all part of the game. I am a powerful person and I don't get scared. I can end up in the hospital from multiple physical assaults by the psycho sex offenders in this building, and I have 3 hospitalizations due to these BLM, hate stalking, masturbating sex offender pigs who violently assault women who they think don't like them, who violently assault women who refuse to provide them with the favors they feel entitled to. I'm talking about the BLM, sex offender, hate stalking, psycho pigs who all are housed in large numbers in this building complex by the Greenville Group. Do you see where I'm going with this? Nothing scares me and nothing stops me. I know why I am here. My boobs are a distraction, you stupid rejects. But keep staring, because that makes you even stupider and more lowlife than you otherwise would be, you pathetic lowlifes. Keep staring at my boobs, psycho pigs, because that's just a distraction and you're showing your inferiority. It's sad for you. So the violent psycho pig, wanking, perving, creeping, hate stalking, disgustingly ugly BLM activist directly below me, who's been getting violent, aggressive, and psychotically intrusive for years, not just against the floor and the walls below my unit when I happen to be lying on this bed doing normal routine things, but who has come up to my door on multiple occasions and tried to physically break it down, slamming things against it, screaming and shouting that they could hear me, whatever I happen to randomly be doing in the privacy of my apartment that nobody should have knowledge of. They're doxing their own psychotic, sort of demonic tendencies when they become violent upon me watching a documentary about Archangel Michael. This also happened approximately a week ago at like 1 a.m. when I was lying on this bed trying to fall asleep and listening to a documentary on the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, which was actually a really horrific, highly drawn out torture session. They now have a lot of new scientific information and DNA analysis of the blood samples that were found around his tomb and body. It's just unreal what they've come up with, including tiny little grains of pollen that were found in the fibers of the shroud that he was reportedly wrapped in after being tortured and crucified. And they found that those grains of pollen only can be physically manifested in the springtime in the region around Galilee. They do not occur anywhere else on the planet. These are physical grains of pollen that come from plants that 2,000 years ago were only located around the Galilee area where Jesus was reportedly crucified. And they found those grains of pollen in that shroud, literally embedded in the fibers of that shroud. Anyway, this piece of shit directly below 76 got violently triggered approximately 7 days ago when I was lying on my bed, quietly trying to fall asleep, listening to a documentary on the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Now, just 5 minutes ago, they became violent, repeatedly aggressive, slamming and banging things directly below this bed as I was watching a documentary on Archangel Michael, and had just started watching that documentary. I don't think I was able to watch more than 10 minutes of the documentary on Archangel Michael before I had to stop because the piece of shit directly below was making repeated violent slamming and banging noises directly below my bed. And I mean violent, like to the point where the floor shakes. They're a total psycho. But they can also obviously hear and see and have moment by moment knowledge of what I do in the privacy of this living space, even when I'm doing it very quietly with my face 2 inches from my phone, surrounded by pillows, curtains, etc., that should muffle any sound coming from my phone. even when I have it on normal volume. Nobody should hear what I'm listening to on here. The door is all the way over there. Do you see how far away that door is? And unless somebody has their ear glued to the door, I don't think they can really hear what I'm doing in here. But apparently they can, and they react very violently, deliberately, aggressively, and intrusively for extended periods of time. This has been, as I said, going on for days, not continuously, but each time I happen to watch certain types of documentaries and programs on my small cell phone when it is stuck 2 inches from my face, this piece of shit becomes violent and aggressive for absolutely no reason, and then stops on a dime as soon as I hit stop on the documentary, which means they are responding directly and in a moment-by-moment basis to programs that I happen to randomly watch on my phone.